and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him. Last sentence. Bayom hashlishi, vayisa Avraham et einav, vayar et hamakom merachok. On the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place far off. Well done. Was that, who was here? What was that first aliyah for anybody? Who's never read Torah before? Awesome. Well done. Now we're going to do the blessing after it's this blessing. So here's the English. All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emes v'hayei olam natan b'tocheinu Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Torah. Well done. Yashkor to all of you. So, a brief sermon for you all now, called the head of the year. So the question, reader one.
What was Abraham thinking?
So the question that comes to mind here in this Torah portion is God comes to Abraham and says, take your son and sacrifice him for me. So my question, I think what everyone thinks about, is what could Abraham possibly be thinking? What is he thinking when God comes to him? You think he's crazy and he's just going to sacrifice his son? Perhaps Abraham was thinking about a way out. Because there's a midrash, there's a rabbinic tale, that basically says God came to Abraham and said, bring to me your son, sacrifice your son. And Abraham says, oh, I have two sons. And he says, well, your firstborn. Remember, he had Ishmael as well. So then God says, well, your firstborn son. And Abraham says, well, you know, I have two firstborn sons. And God says, the one that's your favorite. And Abraham, unfortunately, was forced to make a choice. But he's thinking. He's thinking about a way out all the time. Reader 2.
What was Isaac thinking?
This is another question. Because when we think of the Rembrandt portrait or any of the pictures of great art that depicts Isaac as a child, well, there are midrashim. We don't really know how old Isaac was, but conjecture, the theory is he was 40 years old. So he's as old as a lot of us here. And here he's going with Dad, and he's thinking, what? My father's going to sacrifice me? What's going on here? So we even have heard there is a midrash where when Isaac understands that his father is going to sacrifice him, he actually says to his father, I want you to bind me, because I might try to escape if you don't bind my hands. In blind devotion. That's what the midrash says. But it's my opinion, and of course many Rabbanim and scholars think that perhaps Isaac was questioning his own unconditional and his own blind faith in his father and in his God. So perhaps it wasn't Abraham that God was testing. Perhaps God was thinking, I'm going to test Isaac. I'm going to see if he's actually going to allow his father to sacrifice him for me. Let's see just how strong is this man? Is he really going to do something stupid? Allow his father to kill him for me? I don't really want him to kill his son. Read it through.
And maybe, just maybe, blind faith has never been God's desire for us.
So maybe blind faith in God, maybe that was God's test. Maybe God does not require, does not want, is not interested in blind faith. Maybe what God wants us to say is no, when it's a moral imperative for us to say no. God wants us to be guided by our traditions and by our faith. But God never wants us to be blinded by them. Tonight, when we think about all these things in our lives that give us pause to question, the Gulf oil spill, this war in Afghanistan, every day Americans are killed, the recession that's the result of our own greed, global warming that some people still deny, racism and bigotry in America, and now the burning of holy books. We need to understand.
We cannot fix anything without accepting that the world's paradigm has forever shifted. It is an inescapable and an undeniable fact that we are all connected and part of the one. God is testing us.
God is testing us today, just like He was testing Isaac. Except we are Isaac today. Hashana Tovah. Let's join readers 1, 2, and 3. Please read this together.
Let us make this year the year of the head, the Hashana shel Rosh.
Not the head of the year this year. Let's make it the year of the head. Let's think. Let's do the right thing. We know what the right thing is. We do. Hashana Tovah once again to you. So now I'll ask you to please rise. And we'll do a prayer for healing. As we return to Sefer Torah.